Hello again, and welcome to Crime and Music. I'm your host, Brian J. Kinsley, and with me as always, my friend Ben Ruppel.
What's snapping, Brian?
Every other week, we'll bring you a new true crime podcast about people in and around the music industry and their misadventures into law breaking. If you like music history, murder mystery, people with eccentricity, you've picked a great listening choice for the next hour or so. Share with a friend, tell a relative. Right now, we're trying to get people in the big cities. If you have people and friends or relatives in Chicago, NYC, LA, anywhere down Louisiana way, New Orleans, up in Seattle, Washington, or Maine, send them your favorite episode. Tell them to check us out. That would be a big help. Also, if you'd like to talk to us, drop us a line. Let us know how you're doing. Our email is feedback.
Sorry.
Our email is feedback@crimeandmusic.com. Find us on all the social medias at Crime and Music or my favorite SpeakPipe. Go to our website. I even moved it around for you. It's right at the top there. Just click the SpeakPipe icon, and you can leave a message right for me and Ben. How you doing today?
Well, I'm good. I mean, altogether really good. My friend Bob invited me. He's like, dude, let's go to Vegas. He had 2 weeks off of work because he was switching jobs.
There you go.
He says, let's just get a plane ticket. We'll go to Vegas. I'm like, I'm kind of busy with baseball. No, I'm not. It's snowing. I should have.
Well, we're not going to be talking about Vegas today, but we will talk about some things that are kind of like Vegas-like. We're going to talk about smoking cigs, dicking around, and the English.
The English.
Well, it's kind of with smoking cigs. Yeah,
Cigs, yeah. Okay. All right, I'm getting a 60s, 70s British rock vibe.
I don't want to say. I don't want to give you a thing anywhere here or there. We're gonna play your favorite game, Guess the Guest, and we'll find out. All right. I think you got a chance, but I don't know if you know this person or not. I'll just say that. But I think you got a chance. You're in the right ballpark right now.
Well, I mean, that's always my first question is, Brian, do I know who this is? And so you don't know.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
It's a definite maybe.
We'll get there.
All
right. First hint is Mal.
Pow! Pow! Pow!
No, Mal, as in like Firefly, Mal, but like malnutrition was the joke.
Mal, all right, okay.
No, okay. Rocky.
Okay, no.
Rocky.
Okay, Mal, no. Rocky, no.
Rocky, okay, no. Lead. Now.
I feel like I'm stuck. I'm thinking in a very small circle here, but I gotta expand. I gotta expand my head. Rocky, Mal.
A little bit.
Go ahead.
Lead is the next one. Now, I'm not lead singer, but more like Alex Lifeson, Victoria Adams, Posh Spice type of position in the band. But lead.
Lead. All right.
Okay. Handle.
No, I none of these are even sparking something I can make up. That's
no,
funny.
I know. You'll know. Handle. If you think about it, like maybe the Brazilian pronunciation. That's for all the Brazilians out there. Obrigado. Handle. Honda Housey. Just remember. Okay.
All right. No. Am I gonna lose this one?
Yeah, you're pretty close. You got 12 seconds.
No, you're gonna lose.
Rand. Like Rand McNally, but Rand.
Ian Anderson.
Rand. Ooh. Oh.
Jethro
What's
Tull?
your guess? It's time. No, it's close. It's actually Randall William Rhoads, a.k.a. Randy Rhoads. He's a guitar player from Quiet Riot, Ozzy Osbourne, all that stuff.
I mean, the name's familiar.
Yeah. There you go.
But I'm definitely not going to tell you I know anything about this, which is okay. Because honestly, so, I've noticed as we've been doing this now for how many years? 2, 3 years? Whatever.
About 2.5, yeah.
So when you have a topic I don't know anything about, it gives me an opportunity to sit back, relax, and hear a story. Because there's always something, you weave it around, through the person's life, and there's something that tags a moment where I can put it into perspective or at least into a context in history. And I'm like, oh, and then it fills in some gaps. So what's this cat's name? Rand McNally?
Rand McNally. This is the tale of Rand McNally, map maker extraordinaire.
All right.
No, my man. It's December 6, 1956. Born Randall William Rhoads, a.k.a. Randy Rhoads, in Santa Monica, California, USA, bro.
And he's not a wrestler.
No, that's Dusty Rhodes or Dustin Rhodes. I was looking at that. I was going to get a quote and a thing like, oh, you want to go talk out to the Dusty Rhodes? Oh, you come down to the ring at Dusty Rhodes.
Because
But
honestly,
no, this is Randy Rhodes.
We could just turn this whole entire podcast with very little effort into a wrestling podcast, I feel. We've talked about it, and we're not even that big into wrestling. I swear we're not. We're not.
Well, all right, since you teed that one up for me, I do want to put a little disclaimer out there. I am going to do a lot of bad voices and accents today, but it's only because there's a lot of people in this story. Some of them are British, some of them are English, some of them you know, some of them you don't, but I'm going to do my best to try and keep them separated, and so to do that, I'm going to have to rely on my accent skills.
Okay, so... Just like
be
any
prepared.
other crime and
All right.
music here.
We
Perfect.
are, yeah, well, like any other crime and music, we're not making fun of the victims. We're making fun of the absurd nature of life of rock and roll or music fame and the poor choices those people make.
And somewhat
So-
making fun of ourselves, so, you know.
Oh, always making fun of ourselves. My life's a joke.
All right, yeah, I got a punchline or two over here in this house, that's for sure.
There you go. Well, bro, we're in Santa Monica, California. All right. And we got Dolores. That's your mom.
Dolores?
Dolores. And this guy, Randy William Rhoads here, he's the youngest of 3 children. His parents are both music teachers, so probably hippies, bro. His brother's also a musician. He performs under the name Kelly, K-E-L-L-E, Kelly. In 1958, Rocky, we're going to call him Rocky because that's what they called him in Quiet Riot. So Rocky, rock. Anyway, Rocky's 17 months old. His father leaves the family and remarries another lady. So his dad bails.
All right, well,
all
he was
3
a
children.
hippie. He was a hippie.
Oh, yeah, right. What'd you think was going to happen?
All right.
Being a good mom, Dolores raises all 3 kids by herself. She received a bachelor's degree in music from UCLA, and she plays piano professionally. So after a while playing piano, she opens her own music school in North Hollywood called Musonia to support her family and the kids. She starts her own music school.
It was called Musonia?
Musonia. Yeah, you nailed it.
Like an Italian Musonia.
Yep. That's
All right.
pretty much what I got out of it.
I feel like...
No,
I
we're
feel-
we can charge more. We're European.
It sounds like some appropriation, but
Whatever, go ahead.
It's the 50s, man. There's
Work
no
for
appropriation.
Elvis. Work for
There you go.
Eminem.
It's the whole music business is appropriation. You're gonna wreck the show, dude. Stop it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, every single song that's ever been made is, 3 chords, blues riff, and...
GC and D, baby.
Yeah.
GC and D.
All right.
Put them however you want. All right. Well, speaking of GC and D, the Rhoads family did not own their own stereo, and the children created their own music at home to entertain themselves. So, hey, man, what's that new song I heard the other day coming out of the bathroom? Like, let me hear it. So
think your
then they
kid-
start jamming their tunes.
your kid was beating on some pots and pans.
He sounded pretty good. Would you like to sign to a record label?
Yeah.
All right.
Not yet. Not yet. Rocky's listening to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones when he was a kid, and he'd imitate their performances with his brother Kelly in the family garage. Approximately the age of 7, Rocky begins folk and classical guitar, both kinds, lessons at his mother's music school. He becomes interested in rock guitar and begins taking lessons at Musonia from Scott Shelley. I remember the day that old man Schaefer talked to my mom, and he was like, Miss Kinsley, I got to tell you, your son's just too darn good. I got nothing more to teach him. And much like that, Scott Shelley goes to Rocky's mom, and he says, I can no longer teach your son. His knowledge of the electric guitar exceeds my own.
That's what the guy
So-
said about the... How old was the kid?
He's got to be somewhere like 12 or so.
Huh. That was
So-
one hell of a teacher he found.
Well, again, both of his parents are music teachers. I mean, and he doesn't have a radio. So what are you going to do? I mean,
Well, I guess if his parents are both music teachers, why they gotta find him an instructor? How good of a teacher
Because
are
they don't teach. She's a piano teacher, and Rocky also receives piano lessons from his mother to help build his understanding of music theory. What do you know about music theory, Ben? Explain that to people real quick.
I don't know anything about that, but I will say I wish the first instrument I learned how to play was the piano, because I think you can really build everything from being able to see how music's laid out in a very like linear pattern, and the repeating notes
Oh, yeah.
on a keyboard, where on
Yep.
a guitar it's just random. It's like the most.
I feel like there's an order. Big fat string on the top, little skinny string on the bottom, unless you're Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, there's an order, but it's not apparent for like the first 30 years of playing the guitar. And then after about 30 years, about 30 years, you're like, oh,
Now I
that's
see
why
it.
it's laid out like that. All right, man,
That's
I
what
get
it
it.
is.
I finally get it. 30 years, and now I'm dead.
Mission accomplished.
All right.
Well, much like knowing you for, 40 years, Rocky meets his future bandmate and best friend, Kelly Garni, while they're attending John Muir Middle School in Burbank, California, and they go in the garage, do karate, and become best friends.
Burbank. I think about The Price is Right. Bob Barker. Wasn't he from
Barker?
Burbank, California? Or they recorded
Have
from
your
Burbank?
pet spayed or neutered?
Yeah, I think he's still alive.
I feel like Bob Barker's dead, but prove me wrong, people.
I think he's
Prove me
still
wrong.
alive. We're going to go with he's never going to die.
Well, we got a quote here about best buddies from Kelly Garni. He got a quote, and he says, "We got thrown in jail for being out too late and being in the wrong place at the wrong time and being drunk." Now, here's the thing. Kelly Garni, we're going to hear a lot from him, and all I can think of is Vern Troyer. Not Vern Troyer, but Vern, like the guy, the old country guy, like Ernest
Like
movies.
Ernest. Yeah, Vern. Yeah, I think it's right.
Garni, Arnie, Barney, Garni, Varney, Varney.
Vern.
Yeah, so that's the accent that Garni is going to have throughout the rest of the episode here. So just know that we got thrown in jail for being out too late and being in the wrong place at the wrong time, being drunk. Even though he's from California, so he probably talks like a surfer dude. But he goes on to reveal an instance where Rocky's volume knob landed him in the back of a police car and on his way to jail. So Randy even got arrested, quote from Garni, "Randy even got arrested one time for playing his guitar too loud in his house. Me and Randy were jamming in the house and a cop showed up and said the neighbors were pressing charges because we were playing too loud. Then the cop put Randy in handcuffs into the police car and then to jail. He's 15 years old. But police didn't take me to jail. But we learned our lesson. We didn't annoy the neighbors no more."
So, I think you were there. We were at Matt's folks' cabin up north. And
Oh, sure. I have pictures.
Oh yeah, you do. You got so there was a noise ordinance thing. Of course, you can't be ridiculous with the level of music. But we are partying at this cabin. We got a bunch of friends over. We have the radio just cranked up, big huge stereo with the monster speakers. It's like furniture. And
Oh, yeah.
cops show up, and they just were
Sheriff.
super friendly, and they said, "Hey guys, we had somebody complain about this. Just to let you know, there's a noise ordinance. You got to turn it down after 11 o'clock. Blah blah blah." No, oh, no problem. We'll turn it down. Well, a couple more drinks later, Matt just I don't know where this came from because this is not him.
Turn it up, man.
He's like, "Screw them, they bring it on, baby. We're gonna party." So he just turns up the radio and just. Nope, the cop showed up. The cop showed up and he says, "All right, guys, we told you can't do this. They called 2 more times. Here's a ticket. If I gotta come out again, somebody's going to jail." Well, that was all Matt. We turned it down after that. But the first time we showed up, is that the first when they got all the pictures with us? Like on the cop
Must
car?
have been the first time.
Oh, yeah, they
first
were
or the second. Yeah.
No, it wasn't the second time. They weren't nearly as cordial the second time they
Probably
showed up.
not.
No, the first
Probably
time
not.
they were younger guys. They weren't as young as we were at the time, but they understood what we were doing, and we were being very nice. So we got tons of pictures, like with them fake arresting us, and we had our hands on the cop car.
Yep.
You should get some. That should be on the Crime and Music website, Brian.
We'll do that. We'll put that at least on the social medias when the episode goes out. You'll see pictures of us with the cops, arm in arm, like, "Hey, buddy, don't tase me."
Jason's on that. I don't think.
Oh, that's so bad.
I don't know that I'm in any of those pictures because I think I was busy at the time.
Right.
I wasn't out.
Other day. We'll get there another day.
I wasn't out there with the cops.
Ben wasn't very popular with the police at the time.
No, I think there was a girl involved. I honestly don't remember. I might have been out driving around.
There were no girls involved, and they also were not popular. But another quote from Garni about how school was for those guys and how people didn't really like them too much. He says, quote, "The way we looked. Every time we showed up for school, it was usually problematic, so we pretty much avoided it. We weren't nerds, we weren't jocks, we weren't dopers. We were just on our own."
Dopers.
Well, again, it's the 60s, man.
Well, yeah, we called them. What would you call a doper? We're the stoners, right?
Stoners, man. Yeah.
Well, now I talked to my daughter,
kids.
and they're not. I think they're more like called after the specific drugs they do. They're categorized. They're subcategorized.
Those are the E kids. Those are the meth kids.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, it's an easy system. All right.
Oh, those over there. Those are the rich kids. Oh, coke. Okay, cool. All right.
What's another easy system is playing the bass. So Rocky teaches Garni how to play bass, and together they form a band called the Whore.
That's true.
The Whoer. I'm sorry.
We respect how many bass guitar players in the world in this program, Brian?
I can think of one. But that's it.
One.
That's correct.
One.
There is one.
And if anybody would like to take a guess on who that may be, please write us.
Hit us on social media.
We will put your name on the next episode if you know our favorite bass player.
Oh, if you want, man, I got stickers, I got keychains. I'll send you some swag. So yeah, hit us up on the one bass player that is respected by crime and music.
And it's not the bass player for Primus. That's a hint.
Big old beaver. Okay. They rehearsed for the Whoer during the day at Rodney Beringheimer's English Disco. It was a 1970s Hollywood night spot, and these kids were out there practicing in their whore band.
In California, though, right?
Yes, in California.
Okay.
Correct. But it's like an English disco in California. It was during this period that Rocky learns how to play lead guitar. Another quote from Garni about lead guitar. When I met him, he didn't know how to play lead guitar at all. And he was just starting to take lessons for it, and it was just riffing around.
And now
lead guitar is harder, right? I mean, sort of go through that for people. Like, playing the guitar is one thing. Playing lead guitar is...
Well, there's...
lead guitar compared to a
rhythm guitar?
Strumming. Yeah, man. Like lead guitar compared to Neil Young. I don't know.
Well, I guess it's where you start when you start learning. It's because I think if you learn how to play lead guitar first, I bet you people would say it's easier than rhythm guitar.
Okay. Okay. This is what I, a drummer, will tell you. This is what lead guitar and rhythm guitar. Rhythm guitar is your chords G, C, D, like we were talking about. Play any song you want. And then lead guitar would be playing the individual notes that make up that G chord, that C chord, that D chord in a certain way. Like, so if Ben's going G, C, D, I would have to go whatever makes up a G. And then by the time he gets to the C, I have to find some notes that are like, this makes up the C chord, and like, diddle-a-deer, diddle-a-deer, and then play them. And so you're kind of breaking up a chord into its individual notes and timing it very specifically with the chord changes. And that's how a drummer breaks down lead guitar versus rhythm guitar. Nailed it.
I don't know that helped anybody understand anything about guitars, but I'll tell you this: at least when you're a rhythm guitarist, you really don't have to worry about what strings he hit because he hit them all at the same time. Just ring,
it's the best job in the
ring.
world.
It's like playing a 6-string harp, just ring. But when you're playing the lead guitar, you do need to use your pick hand, your usually your right hand, to find the right string out of 6 and. That I can't do that. I can't do that at all.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
If I can't hit them all, I don't want to hit any of them.
We'll get there. We do. We covered over. Rocky here gets into teaching people lead guitar techniques because he gets that good. So, but in the mid 70s, he's not that good yet. He spends several months playing in backyard parties all around LA. The pair, him and Hooer, later form a cover band with his older brother Kelly called Violet Fox. Now, Violet Fox is together approximately 5 months. They staged several performances in the Grand Salon at Musonia, and among their set list was Mississippi Queen by Mountain and songs from the Rolling Stones, Alice Cooper, David Bowie. They were playing like the latest of the greatest. And then after Violet Fox dissolves, Rocky forms various other short-lived bands such as the Mildred Pierce and another one called the Katzenjammer Kids.
Mildred Pierce?
Okay, I had a fact on the Katzenjammer Kids, but that's fine. Mildred Pierce, yes.
That's the name of a band?
That is.
Did they
it's
name
a
it
rock
after
band
their
in Hollywood.
Their
Aunt
grandmother's
Mildred.
Their grandmother's seamstress was named Mildred Pierce.
Mildred Pierce. I wish I knew who Mildred Pierce was. I feel like that's a famous English person, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
If you wanted to know, the Katzenjammer Kids was there was a there was a male lead singer who wore dresses on stage. So that was their hook there.
Back then, that was probably a big deal.
Live bootleg recordings were very popular at the time, and Rocky began to take note of differences between studio recordings and live versions, particularly the difference between guitar licks incorporated when people were playing live. So he's like, wait a minute, on the studio, it sounded real good. Playing live, I don't know if you did the same thing.
I just heard, it was actually, I saw, it was a video with the audio, whatever, of Nirvana's first recorded show, Smells Like Teen Spirit. It wasn't, it was, I mean, you could definitely tell what song it was by listening to this video, but it was not exactly the same. I mean, they tweaked it before they laid it down. It was good. I mean, it was weird seeing them so young doing it. I mean, just still screaming into the microphone, but it was cool. It was cool. Nirvana.
There's a difference. I mean, most bands, there's a difference between live and studio. That's for sure.
Not Rush.
I said most. I was trying not to. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Anyway, help our earlier trivia question. Okay, so much like that, like Rush, Rocky's going to shows. He begins to memorize the licks he sees the guitarists use when they're playing, and he's like, I can take that part, and I can take that part, and he teaches him himself later when he comes back home. So there, July 11th, 1971, he's at an Alice Cooper concert in Long Beach Auditorium, and this is what he considers a defining point in his life. We got a quote from Garni about it, because Garni's his best friend. Randy is mesmerized. He is catatonic, just staring at the stage. Later that night, Randy said, I can do this. I can look like this. I can be this. Something clicked that night, and I think that kind of showed him what he could do with his talent.
At an Alice Cooper concert.
At an Alice Cooper concert.
I like Alice Cooper a lot. I mean, he's a Tigers fan.
Oh, right on, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big baseball guy.
Oh, yeah. He's an honest, I don't want to say fake performer, but I mean, it's a persona. And he doesn't, I mean, when he's Alice Cooper on stage, scary, makeup and looking like a gaunt, like gothic sort of weird character. That's not him. Man. He's a normal dude. And when he comes out for an interview, he's not dressed up in costume. He's not in character. He's just Alice. He's just that guy. I think Alice Cooper also is one of those artists that I want to say he got screwed because he's wildly successful, but he never had any of the rights to any of his music. It was like one of those. I mean, he's still made money. He's living a very comfortable life, I'm sure. But he's
just a singer.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of artists that we've all heard, and you would just think they got to be billionaires. No, they never took care of themselves at the beginning, and by the time they were monsters and huge, they had already signed their life away, or at least signed the wrong dotted lines. I think he might have been one of them. All right, this is not
Well-
an Alice Cooper podcast. It could be. Maybe it is.
It is now.
Maybe
it is now.
All we
That's what
gotta
we're
do
talking
is
about.
change the title that we got here on the recording. Alice
Right.
Cooper.
It's Alice Rhoads.
Alice Rhodes.
Rocky Cooper.
Dusty Rhodes.
Let me tell you about Dusty Rhodes. Let me tell you about age 16 Rocky Rhodes. He and Garni form a band called Little Women.
I've heard that, right? I've heard that name. Oh no,
It's a book.
It's a book. That's what it is.
It's a book. Joe gets real sick, and I'm scared I'm going to put the book in the freezer.
Is that the best of
At the
times,
approximately
worst of
this-
times book?
No, that's A Tale of Two Cities.
Oh,
but
you're right. Look at you, literary
Savant.
yeah, I went to a really good school. You were there too. I don't know what you were doing. But at approximately the same time, Rocky begins teaching guitar at his mother's school during the day and starts playing live gigs at night. So now he's like straight up working musician because he's got a day job and a night job.
Okay.
He graduates from Burbank High School, participating in a special program that allowed him to condense his studies and graduate early so he could teach guitar and pursue music full time. I believe it's just called getting a GED, and you're not special there, Rocky.
I don't know that our audience can sense when the salt comes out, Brian.
I think they know by now. It's 65 episodes deep. If you don't, and this is your first episode, this is what I do.
But
Some
Brian,
things annoy me.
I don't know. I don't even know. I still don't know what will set our host Brian off at times. I just don't even know. He'll just all of a sudden, it's like a switch flips, and he's just this crotchety old, angry, salty, angry man. You're doing things I did, and you did it better, and I hate everybody.
Who did what better? Nobody did anything
I
better.
don't know.
It's fine.
You just get so mad at some little tiny things sometimes.
Oh,
All right,
fine.
continue.
All right.
All right.
I will. Let's talk about
Serenity
things
now.
things I'm really good at, drumming and drummers. Recruiting lead vocalist Kevin Dubrow and drummer Drew Forsyth, the band soon changed its name to Quiet Riot.
Quiet Riot.
You've heard of Quiet
Oh,
Riot?
yeah. We've all heard of Quiet Riot.
There you go.
Yep.
So Dubrow, this guy, he's an LA photographer who is not at all what Rocky had in mind for his new band. And he was not well liked or well received by the rest of Quiet Riot, and that caused a great deal of tension within the band. Don't break up the band, man. You're wrecking the band.
What was he? What was this photographer guy? What was he? Just a photographer?
He's the lead vocalist.
He's
the
a
lead
singer.
the
All
lead
right.
singer. Yeah, he's the lead singer, so he thinks he's the shit. Freaking lead singers.
Yeah, dick.
So, always. Right, well, that's kind of a trait of lead singers, but whatever.
Prima donnas.
That's what you get. So Rocky, much like us, he envisioned a frontman differently, more in the vein of Alice Cooper or David Bowie. But this Dubrow guy, he's persistent and he doesn't take no for an answer. We're like, we don't want you in the band. He's like, yeah, but I'm in the band. He's like, yeah, but we don't want you in the band. He's like, yeah, but I'm in the band. We're like, but we don't want you in the band. He's like, well, nobody's better than me. I'm in the band. So in the end, Rocky and Garni decide that if nothing else, he's really enthusiastic. So you're like, okay, fine, you're hired. And so,
Don't take no for an answer. That's awesome.
yeah, right. Just keep showing up, guys.
I love this guy.
Hey, I'm here for the job. Hey, I'm here for the job.
No, I have.
I'm here. I actually got a job doing that. I got a job working as a bike mechanic because I kept showing up. The guy's like, yeah, look at your resume. I'll call your old boss. Yeah. Okay, you keep showing up. You might as well just start working next week. And I'm like, yes.
Oh yeah.
So, persistence pays off, everybody.
Yeah, stick to itiveness.
Well, sticking to it, late 1976, Quiet Riot becomes one of the most popular acts in the LA club circuit, and they signed to CBS Sony Records. Rocky's got this polka dot theme, like it becomes the emblem of the band. He's got polka dot guitar. Many of the fans start showing up at Quiet Riot shows wearing polka dot bow ties and vests, and they're like, hey, see, we wear polka dots like you wear polka dots. Now, while the band has a strong following in LA, Quiet Riot and Quiet Riot 2 albums are released only in Japan. Now, this is long before Come On Feel the Noise and Mama We're All Crazy Now. Like, come on, feel the noise.
Now, why
the
are
other
they
one,
only
what?
released in Japan? Just because?
Well, see, now this is long before that. This is the early Quiet Riot, so they don't have those songs on there.
Okay.
And so they aren't super, like, it's a very LA sound, like a LA thing. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Like, music has sort of genres and zones, and the LA sound wasn't really popular at that time with the rest of the country. So
Okay, well, I mean,
I get the
Roll the
idea,
dice.
Yeah,
I mean-
the LA sound or whatever, but they didn't even. I mean, if you're gonna cut an album, throw it out everywhere. Just Japan, all right,
Well,
whatever.
hey, man, Japan was digging the LA scene right then, so that's like where you make your money, where you make your impact. You know, like we're big in Japan. I don't know if you know this, but we're not big in Japan. But if we were, that'd be cool. Like, hey, we're big in Japan.
I guess
I'll take it.
Japan is. I guess it's pretty close to LA. It's just across the water.
Yeah, there's just some water in between.
Yeah,
I mean, it's right there.
yeah,
kinda.
just a little bit of water and a small island named Hawaii.
There you go. Hey, there's even a place to stop. There
Yeah.
you go. Pit stop.
And that's really
Yeah,
all that
really.
happened. That's how the Second World War got. We got into that. Was that the Japanese were coming over here for some of our LA club scene, and they ended up getting bogged down in Pearl Harbor, and somebody was like, "Yo, mama," and then the other guy was like, "Oh, your mother," and then they got into a fight, and then World War II. That's
Dude,
I saw that on
perfect.
Nova, actually. I think.
Much like the relationship between Japan and Hawaii, the relationship between Dubrow, the lead singer, and Garni, the bass player, has also deteriorated completely during this recording session of the band's second album, with potentially catastrophic results. So what happens is after drunkenly firing a handgun through the ceiling and engaging in a fistfight with Rocky, Garni drunkenly hatches his plan to shoot and kill Dubrow at the studio while they're recording.
That's crazy. They came up with a plan.
He's like, you know what we're going to do? This lead singer's being a dick, so we're going to shoot him while he's recording.
Well,
He
how?
won't even see it coming.
Okay, that's a great plan. I mean, I love that plan. I'm 100%
Well, they're
behind that
talking
plan.
it out, right?
But
right.
how? I don't want to break the third wall here, but how in the hell do we know this? I mean, how do we know?
Well, I can tell you. I can tell you how we know this because Rocky, who is the main star of our show here, Randy Rhoads, he's talking with Garni, his friend, about this, and he's left with no choice but to fire his longtime friend and band co-founder. So he's like, I appreciate the sentiment, but we can't shoot the lead singer in the face while he's singing lines in the booth, and I'm gonna have to let you go. So appreciate the enthusiasm, but
this is not why I wanted to be in a band. It's to shoot people.
it's like, can I talk with you just for 1 second? No, the Dubrow, go in the booth and warm your voice up. So here's the thing. I like your plan about the shooting him and getting him out of the band, but it's kind of against the law and it's murder. So we're gonna go in a different direction.
It doesn't sound like
I'm
his
gonna have to
plan.
let you go.
It doesn't sound like his plan had an exit strategy to get away with it.
No, right? It's very A to B. There was not much after that.
Yeah, it was
It's
eight.
more of a brainstorming session.
I want this guy dead. What would be the best way to do it? All right.
There's a gun right here. It just went off and blew a hole in the ceiling.
All right. When Phil Spector leaves the room, go over and get his gun out of the drawer, quick. And then
This is Phil Spector studio. You know there's a gun somewhere. Sure.
while he's singing, shoot him. Okay. Okay. Good idea. Where do I shoot him at? In the face.
Hey, Rocky, I got a plan I want to talk with you over real
Shoot
quick.
him in the face.
Let me see if you got any holes in this that you see?
Yeah, that would work because what do we want? We want him dead. And this plan nails it. All right, good. Do you see any problems?
Nailed
no.
it.
And then this what was the guy's name with the southern voice that you were using?
What, Garni? Yeah.
Garni's like, no,
He's the bass player.
nobody's thinking this through to the next step. We're gonna go to jail. Oh,
This is not how this works.
ew.
So-
All right, we'll deal with that
Well,
on
that-
the fly.
That's not how it worked, and Garni gets fired. So 1979, ex-Black Sabbath vocalist Ozzy Osbourne. Oh, that's terrible. This is going to get so bad. He's in L.A. He's attempting to form a new band. So now we're going to name drop Slaughter bassist Dana Strum. He calls up Rocky. He's like calling him and calling him and calling him, and he's not going to stop calling him. So you might as well just answer the phone. And so eventually Rocky's like, fine, I'll do the audition. Okay. Just leave me alone. So
Do you know
like, well,
what
now I gotta-
it sounds like when Ozzy Osbourne calls his wife?
what's that?
Sharon! Sharon, damn it,
Oh.
Sharon! Wasn't that the thing from his little his I mean, Ozzy Osbourne was kind of one of the the grandfathers, the architects of reality TV. Am I wrong? The Osbournes?
You are not wrong.
Yeah, heck yeah.
You are right. The Osbournes will make an appearance. Don't worry. Sorry, Michelle. We'll get there. Much like the random Osbourne kid who doesn't really want to be part of the Osbournes, Rocky is the same thing. He's talking to his Quiet Riot bandmates, and he's like, I really don't want to go do this audition for Ozzy Osbourne. Is that weird? And they're like, it's kind of weird, man, if you want to be a professional musician, so you probably should go. And he's like, dude, I will go, but I don't want to hear from this freaking Slaughter Bass's Dana Strum anymore. So you tell him I'm doing this for him, so he leaves me the hell alone.
So was Ozzy
was out.
Ozzy popular at the time?
Yeah, man, 79.
Yeah.
So Black Sabbath was rocking. But
Black Sabbath was in the late 60s, wasn't it? I mean, they've been around for a while at 79.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. That was an established powerhouse rock band.
And so this 2-bit MRFer, he's picking and choosing over. I was going to wait until something better came along.
Well, he's got Quiet Riot, man. He's like, I got a band. We're pretty popular. We're big in Japan. So.
Quiet Riot's not even like okay. Honesty time here. We've all heard the name, right?
Mama, we're all crazy now. Mama, we're all crazy now.
Right,
that's pretty good. That's about as best I got.
That's probably better than they ever did it themselves. But
yeah, new karaoke, boys.
The biggest reason I'm not a big Quiet Riot fan. Okay, I'm going to start there. But the biggest reason they're popular, or people even know their name, is alliteration. It rhymes. Quiet Riot
and Riot.
Yeah, that's it.
Gotcha.
That's all they needed.
And there's the guy with the metal face mask. Don't forget their album covers.
Oh, that kind of looks like a Chainsaw Massacre dude or something.
Yeah, in the straitjacket. Yeah, I'm sure he has a name.
Yeah,
I don't know.
guy.
Tell me. Social media is crime and music.
Yeah, that guy. But I mean, was he in the band? Who cares?
I think he might have been that lead singer guy that they tried shooting in the face.
Yeah, all right, that
Dude,
guy.
bro,
Quiet Riot wasn't that. I mean, does anybody really just sit around and listen to old Quiet Riot? I mean, it's not like, hey man, let's have a Zeppelin 2 for Tuesdays or something. No, I mean, there's even Rush fans out there.
There's a couple of us.
There's no Quiet Riot Day.
No.
All right.
That's true.
I don't want to dig. I don't want to dig at them. I didn't hate them. I just don't know them.
I'm just saying, man. I get it. They had a couple hits, and again, this is before those hits even happened. I don't know if you guys know. Short history on Quiet Riot. There's a lot of dudes in that band, and there are no original members. So,
is there any crossover with Canned Heat?
I swear to God, we're gonna get to Black Oak, Arkansas. Just give me a minute.
Okay. All right. Continue.
So, like all those bands, somebody there plays a Gibson Les Paul, and that's what Rocky brings to his audition with Ozzy Osbourne. We got a quote from Drunk Ozzy Osbourne about the audition. Here we go, people. he plays foolish solo, and I'm like, that's fucking, am I fucking that stoned? Am I hallucinating? And what the fuck is this? Osbourne has maintained that he immediately gave him the job. And a quote from Rocky, he says, I just turned, he's going to be Californian. I haven't done Rocky yet. I just turned up and did some riffs, and he said, you got the gig. And I had the weirdest feeling because I thought, you didn't even hear me yet. After the audition, Rocky returns to Musonia. He tells some people in Quiet Riot that he's never actually met Osbourne. He was drunk, and he remained in the studio control booth the whole time. And so according to Rocky, it's that dude Strum from Slaughter. He comes out from the control room, and he's like, you're in the band, man. He's like, wait, that's not even your band. And I'm okay. So Rocky is now scheduled to meet Ozzy the next night in his hotel room. Over the next couple days, though, following the audition, Rocky, Osbourne, Strum, all these people, drummer Frankie Benali, they all jam together in L.A. before Osbourne returns to England. And so
they're just
disillusioned with
partying and jamming. Partying and jamming,
right. They found a bunch of new dudes they like, and they're partying and jamming. So disillusioned with Quiet Riot's inability to land an American record deal, Rocky discusses with his mom the possibility of joining this whole Ozzy Osbourne band. She asked him, she's like giving good motherly advice. She's like, would you accept an offer like this one? And she's like, famous guy, Ozzy Osbourne out of Black Sabbath. And he's like, yeah, of course I would. And he's like, okay. So I think we got a plan. So now Rocky goes back to England. Osbourne is introduced in a pub by, I'm going to drop another name, Rainbow. So this ex Rainbow, the band Rainbow, their bassist, Bob Daisley. There's a bunch of bassists all hanging out trying to be cool.
Well, that's because they don't have any friends.
Got a pair of hits.
They don't have any friends. And so,
right, these two hit it off.
Can I back up just a tiny little bit?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So, Rocky, he's an adult at this point, right?
Right.
A semi-moderate, successful career. Feeling like
so
he's
far, yeah. Professional musician for sure.
Yeah, right. Making a living. On the precipice of possibly getting to that next level at big time. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, blah, blah, blah. He's, what, I'm guessing, somewhere in his late 20s, early 30s? Yeah? He's all of a sudden...
Yeah. Oh, well, early 20s. He's a youngin'. He got in real young.
Living that rock and roll lifestyle. Their crazy stuff's happening. He's partying with popular people. I'm sure, even though you haven't gotten into any drugs and alcohol. But at the end of the day,
we'll get there. Trust me.
He's still conferring with his mother. Hey, Mom.
Oh, yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne wants me to go to Europe and go to England and go to Britain and, jam on some. What do you think, Mom? And his mom came back and kind of asked him, some follow-up questions. So good for him, Mama's boy. Whatever. I guess that's endearing. It's not real rock and roll. I mean, it's not hardcore.
No, it's not.
I don't feel like anybody's at this point getting ready to bite a head off a bat, but whatever. It's
we'll definitely get there, guys, in the show as a whole. You will hear that story before we're done.
Good for him.
Not today, but there. Well, even though his mom liked him, the group's management didn't like him. They wanted to keep it an all-British lineup, and they're reluctant to hire this unknown American. But manager Don Arden eventually gives in. Rocky flies to England, only to get kicked out and returns home a couple of days later because English customs at Heathrow, they're like, you don't have the necessary work permit to get into the country. So what was supposed to happen is a representative from Jet Records was supposed to be at the airport, clean everything up. He never arrives. Rocky spends the night in a holding cell before being handcuffed, put on a plane back to the United States.
Oh, I bet he wasn't happy.
Probably not.
I'd have not been happy.
Ozzy Osbourne, sensing his unhappiness, called him to apologize and made arrangements for Rocky to return to England with the proper paperwork this time. So November 27th, 1979, Rocky flies to England, meets with Osbourne and Daisley at the Jet Records offices in London. The trio travel by train, very English, to Osbourne's home in Bulrush Cottage. It's there that Rocky lived with the Osbournes and his wife Thelma, not Sharon, his first wife Thelma, and their two kids during the first couple weeks he lived in England. So later, Osbourne said that he couldn't understand why a musician as talented as Rocky would want to get involved with a, quote, bloated alcoholic wreck like himself. Now, after a short search, former Uriah Heep drummer Lee Kerslake, he compiled a new band known as the Blizzard of Oz. He completed the band known then as the Blizzard of Oz. The group heads into the studio, records a title album called Blizzard of Oz, which people have heard of.
Yeah, what year was this? It was late 70s?
That's got to be 70. November 27, he gets to England. So, yeah, got to be end of 79, early 80.
Then that's when the Blizzard of Oz came out. I felt like it was later than that.
Correct.
Yeah.
No. That's when they're doing it.
All right, cool.
Now, Rocky's guitar playing, because now he's with some professional musicians, he changes due to the level of freedom he's allowed by Osbourne and Daisley, because his work in Quiet Riot was criticized for being dull and that he didn't rely on any classical scales or arrangements. The Blizzard of Oz album proves that an instant hit with rock fans. People love it, particularly in the U.S. That propels Rocky with this whole neoclassical guitar work approach that he's developed. They released 2 singles from that album, Mr. Crowley and Crazy Train.
2 great ones. I mean, huge.
Huge. Mr. Crowley is in the key of D minor and Crazy Train is in F sharp minor. Why did I bring that up?
I don't know, Brian. Why'd you bring that up? Hey, Brian, let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Do
real quick
you know why Mr. Crowley was in D minor, and why Crazy Train was in F sharp minor.
Sharp minor.
Brian,
Yeah.
do you know?
Well, you know what? It's not so much me, but I'll let Ozzy Osbourne tell you. And so there's a quote from Ozzy about it. He says, one day Randy come up with me. He says, most heavy metal songs are written in a E chord structure. He said, let's try and change that. So we made a rule. Most every number that we did record an album was never played in the same key. I trailed off there. Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley placed 9th and 28th respectively on Guitar World's 100 Greatest Guitar Solos. Crazy Train plays 51st, Rolling Stone 100 Greatest Guitar Songs of All Time. Following the UK tour, this band, the Blizzard of Oz band, records another album, Diary of a Madman. December 1981, Rockies voted Best New Talent by the readers of Guitar Player magazine and voted Best Heavy Metal Guitarist by Sounds magazine. He's an avid collector of toy trains. He travels around England in search of them when he first got to England. During the break before leaving for the U.S.'s first tour, him, Purcell, Daisley are suddenly fired by Sharon Arden. You know her as Sharon Osbourne.
Sharon!
The band's manager and Osbourne's future wife. So for the U.S. tour, ex-Black Oak, Arkansas drummer Tommy Eldridge and bassist Rudy Sarzo, who had been in Rocky's band Quiet Riot, they get hired. And since we're talking about Black Oak, Arkansas, that reminds me of my band, 21 Days, and we're going to take a break
hold on.
right now.
Hold on.
Come on now.
No, can
right.
I ask you I can't wait to listen to the 21 Days. That's the highlight.
We can leave it on a question.
It's the highlight of my week. But is there any way we can, I think I can speak for the entire audience here, Brian. Is there any way you can do the entire second half of our podcast in Ozzy Osbourne's voice? I mean,
I will tell you this. You're going to hear a lot of it the second half. A lot. We'll just leave you with that.
It's quite possibly the worst / best English accent I've ever heard.
What are you talking about? We can go and break.
It's awesome.
And we're back.
Dude, I listen to that music and it just makes me think of like high school and bonfires and sneaking into the bar, or trying to not sneaking into the bar because there were those bars that we could go to when we were 18, but you got
the
like
18-year-old bars, yeah.
Yeah, you got like a stamp on your hand or something that you couldn't.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't get a drink, or a beer or whatever.
All right, so we were talking October 1981. That Diary of a Madman album is released. Rocky's already made the decision. He's going to part ways with Osbourne once the contract is done. He doesn't want to break any contractual agreement, so he's like, I'm going to play through the contract, and once that's done, I want to go. Now, he had a good relationship with Osbourne, but the constant drugs and alcohol abuse made day-to-day life on the tour and working for the band really difficult. So he's going to quit. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Whose problem? Was he having a problem with it, or did he have a problem with other people doing it?
No, he was tired with dealing with Ozzy. He's like, I don't want to be in a band with Ozzy Osbourne. This guy's way too off the rails.
Really? Okay. It was you who decided to go into rock and roll.
Well, again, he's a classically trained, school musician, so all this drugs and sex and rock and roll, that's a bit, wow, this is what you guys do when we're playing music?
Well,
come on.
He signed, he knew, he should have known the freaking deal that from before, he should have known the deal before they asked him to try out for the band.
I thought these were professionals.
Before he ever met Ozzy Osbourne. I feel like, he's sort of getting off the tail end of, his last gig. And if somebody off the street would have came up to him and said, hey, you ever heard of Ozzy Osbourne? Oh, yeah, I've heard of him. All right, could you just tell me what you know about him? Oh, man, that guy's a rock and roll legend. He plays, he's got a lot of albums out, and he's huge. He's
good
rich.
singer.
Does a lot of drugs, drinks a lot of alcohol. He's a crazy man. He bit a head off a bat. Yeah, it's Ozzy Osbourne.
We'll get there. Oh, we will.
Oh, he's
I'll
not.
tell you
We're
that
not
one.
there. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
so, but I mean,
unlike no, we're not. We don't get there in this
you
story.
know the deal. It's like when you go out on a date with a porn star, you kind of know where
Careful.
the end of the
Careful.
night's gonna land you.
Well, like the great professionals we are, Rocky, he was a straight professional, and he was under the impression that he was doing good with Osbourne, and so good with the band. He wanted to be good with the management, and largely professional. Like I said, he does have a brief sexual relationship with Sharon Arden, also known as Sharon Osbourne.
Sharon!
Yes. Now, long before that, Rocky and Sharon, they have a relationship. There's a few celebratory drinks together one night in a hotel, and they end up sleeping together.
The nasty and the pasty.
Afraid so. Ozzy didn't care. He was trying to save his marriage with Thelma, and Sharon was, quote, just his manager. She's just my manager. So, as Diary of a Madman tour in the U.S. progresses, Osbourne would often refuse to perform due to lingering after effects, hangovers, the previous night's drinking, and only Sharon could talk him into going on stage. Osbourne said that Rocky didn't use drugs and he drank very little, preferring anisette, just some type of anise liquor, like a black licorice liqueur. You know what anisette is?
Like
Anisette.
absinthe?
Anisette, anisette.
Huh.
Probably not absinthe. No wormwood or none of that weird stuff.
No, I don't.
When he did drink, that's what he preferred. So, no. Osbourne says Rocky didn't like partying, but he made up for it by smoking cigarettes. Quote from Osbourne, he said, he could gold medal in the lung cancer Olympics, could Rocky Rose.
Get that? Yeah. Is that verbatim, Brian?
Yes, verbatim.
All right.
That's it. Even the backwards noun predicate thingy. Many shows are simply canceled, and Rocky gets tired of the unpredictability. He's like, guys, it says Friday night rock with Oz, and it's Saturday, and we did not rock last night. So the final straw comes, and the plan is announced February 1982 by Osbourne's management to record a live album of Black Sabbath songs at Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens later that year. Now, Rocky bandmates Tommy Eldridge felt that they had established themselves as recording artists, and they regarded that they should be on the album cover, and that's a step backwards artistically and professionally. Long story short, these guys didn't want to do it. They refused to participate in the live recording. Osbourne views this decision as straight up betrayal, and the relationship between Osbourne and Rocky becomes quite strained. They don't like each other anymore. Already drinking heavily, Osbourne's drinking increases, and it begins to tear the band apart, man. At one point, he drunkenly fires the entire band, including Rocky. You're fired. You're fired. Everybody's fired. And though he had no memory of doing so, so the next day, everybody's like, I guess we're not fired. He doesn't remember firing us.
So, it's interesting as you listen to stories, from back in the day and all these bands and after things have happened decades later, the door is opened a little bit more to what actually was going on behind the scenes. And you hear all these stories about, alcohol and drugs and sex and rock and roll and all the big, stuff.
Yeah, our podcast. Yes.
Well, I mean, not just the crime, but...
Well, I mean, all of it. Yeah, all the behind that.
But
lot. Like the things you don't see.
I think because alcohol is, it's legal, and it was back then, you kind of dismiss it as a driving force to break apart bands like that, but it did. I mean, alcohol was a big one, man. It wasn't just ridiculous.
When you're at the party, man, like when you're at the nightlife, you're at the bars, you're the people bringing the good time. You're expected to have a good time, and so work and play kind of blend together. And some are better than others at it.
Yeah, and I think Ozzy Osbourne's deal was I mean, he did drugs, whatever, but he did booze definitely helped steer his ship into the life he's found today.
Well, with Osbourne's unstable and confrontational behavior, that soon convinces Rocky to leave the band for good. But he grudgingly agrees to perform on the live album with the stipulation that he would depart after fulfilling his contractual obligations to Jet Records, which consisted of one more studio album and a subsequent tour. So he's like, I want to go. I don't want to get sued. I'll play your record and I'll do the tour, and then I'm gone.
Well, he probably also got a big, huge carrot full of money dangled in front of him.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, people like he's a wonderkin. You know, people loved him. He was all innovative and stuff. But well, yeah, I guess people start shouting numbers at you. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, do one more studio recording and a quick concert. All right. I'm in. Put me down. I'm definitely down.
Whatever. And then for the rest of your life, you're going to get those residuals if you got a decent contract or lawyer. So anyway, they talk him into it. So he's got a studio album to do, a live album to do, and a subsequent tour. March 18th, 1982, Rocky plays a show at Knoxville Civic Coliseum. The next day, the band's headed to a festival in Orlando, Florida. It's called Super Rock Bowl 14, XIV.
Super
14?
Rock Bowl.
Super Rock Bowl. You pay for the whole seat, but you only need the edge. Osborne recalls a conversation he had with Rocky that night on the bus. It involved the guitarist bitching about him and his heavy drinking. Here's a quote from Rocky to Osborne. It says, quote, "You'll kill yourself, one of these days." So after driving much of the night, and they stop at Flying Baron Estates in Leesburg, Florida, to fix a malfunctioning air conditioning unit on the bus while Osborne is sleeping. It's always these friggin' buses, man.
Well, I mean, they got problems. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in those buses. Don't blame the bus, Brian. Don't blame the bus.
Well, let me just you'll see. We'll have a day here. It's the bus. The bus is the issue, trust me. On the property, which is owned by the Calhoun brothers, where they stopped the malfunctioning tour bus, there's an airstrip with some small helicopters and planes on it, right? So without permission, the tour bus driver, who happens to be a private pilot, his name is Andrew Aycock, they start taking joyrides in one of the planes.
What's his last name?
Aycock. Aycock. What do you want me to do with that?
He's a
Aycock.
what?
Andy Aycock. He's a bus driver. He drives tour buses, and he's a private pilot.
He's Aycock. He's a cock.
I see. He's a cock. Well, we'll get there. So, because he steals a plane basically and takes joyrides, right? They're in a Beechcraft F-35. It's registered to a guy named Mike Parton. That never comes back around, other than we might use it as trivia for a giveaway later. Mike Parton.
We'll never do that. We'll never remember
everyone.
it. All right.
Someone who's never an idiot in the band is always the keyboardist. And on the first flight, Captain Aycock takes keyboardist Don Airy and tour manager Jake Duncan with him as the first passengers on the sort of joyride. Now, during this first flight, they're flying around, and then what happens? Aycock buzzes the tour bus. You're trying to wake people up on the bus. Like, ah! They're trying to wake up drummers on the bus and some other people.
They're buzzing buzzing the bus with the plane.
Yeah, man, they're just just trying to fuck with people on the bus.
That's what I would do. I would do that. I would be that.
Oh, great!
I would
keep that in mind.
If I knew how to drive an airplane.
I would totally.
I would do that. I would not only buzz the bus. I would go find people I knew that lived in a house, and I'd buzz the house. I would probably kill people, including myself. Whatever. That's how I do. I do that. That's how I do.
Well, let's go back to they're buzzing the bus, and they land, and that group gets out, and it's like the amusement park. They load up another crew, and the second flight. They've got makeup artist Rachel Youngblood, and Rocky gets aboard.
Oh, so now they're still driving this airplane around up in the air without permission.
Oh, they're flying. Yeah, they're just flying. Yeah, no, they stole this airplane from the airstrip that they're fixing the bus at, and then this dude just like, I know how to fly planes. You guys want to go for a ride?
No, it's not.
And so
it's not.
They start flying
it's
around.
not flying a plane. It's driving a plane around. Because sidebar. Our friend Ryan, Rat,
Okay, driving.
His older sister, who was only like a year or two older than us, when she got
Rochelle.
Yeah, when she got Rochelle. When she,
I was right, Rochelle.
When she got into college, she wanted to be a pilot. That was her what she wanted to go to school for. And she did.
I want to fly.
She did become a pilot, and she's still a pilot today. Like drives planes around and stuff.
There you go. Drives planes.
Oh
I drive
my
planes.
gosh, she would get so pissed when we'd say, So you're going to school to learn how to drive a plane around? I'm going to fly a plane. I'm going to be a pilot. It sounds like you're going to be a chauffeur in the air. I mean, whatever. You're just driving a plane.
It's like driving truck.
Oh
yeah.
my God, she would get just so. And I remember thinking, you gotta know we're screwing with you here. Why do you keep giving in? I mean, you were so. She would never not get mad at it, and so we would never
Just let
not
it
say
go.
it.
That's awesome.
Driving a plane around. And so, if Rochelle, you're out there driving planes around these days, come give the Rupel household a low and slow buzz. And just
go buzz. Give us a little wingtip.
Yeah.
Well, unlike Rochelle, Rocky is afraid of flying, and he wanted to take some aerial photos of the countryside for his mom. Back to this mama's boy thing.
Yeah, it's like Elvis all and reincarnate.
So
reincarnate.
He talks to the bass player Rudy. He's like, Rudy, I don't want to go by myself, so go on this flight with me. So Rudy's like, no, I'm gonna go sleep in the bus. You go on the flight with the makeup artist. And so, okay. During the second flight, Aycock's dicking around again. He's trying to buzz the tour bus, right?
Aycock is dicking around again. That's funny.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
funny.
That was not even, I didn't even write that.
That's
just
funny.
off the top. So he buzzes, makes a close pass. Man, I have a soundboard. I should have got an airplane. But so he makes it by the bus and like, hey, man, like the first one went pretty good. So then comes around again, the Coriolis effect or whatever you want to call it.
I feel like we're getting a part some crime here, Brian.
Well, we've had some crime because you got arrested for playing music too loud and people have been firing guns off. But hey, man, you buzz a bus twice and it goes super good. You're like, you know what? I think we can do better. So at about 10 a.m. specific times, after being in the air for approximately 5 minutes, he's flying the airplane around. It's kind of got that hazy sort of desert look to it, like Top Gun or like a Star Wars movie, and the sun's rising and you see the heat waves. And then all of a sudden, just breaking through is this plane, it's just coming right at you.
And he says in the he's probably got the headphones on with that little microphone in front of his face, and he's talking to the ground crew and the people that helped him get up in the air, and he's like, and this is pod racing. No?
Much like pod racing, bang! One of the plane's wings clips the top of the tour bus. That breaks the wings into two parts and sends it spiraling out of control. The initial impact with the bus causes Rocky and Youngblood's heads to crash through the plane's windshield. The plane then severs the tops of large pine trees and crashes into the garage in a nearby mansion, and finally bursts into flames.
That's I think where they got that in Star Wars. That was so unoriginal.
Rocky, age 25, is killed instantly, as are Aycock, age 36, and Youngblood, the makeup artist, 58.
Oh, wow, they're dead?
All three bodies are burned beyond recognition. Rocky is identified solely by dental records and personal jewelry. A quote from Sharon Osbourne, who was asleep in the bus at the time of the crash: "They were all in bits. It was just body parts everywhere." Keyboard Don Airy was the only member of the band to witness the crash, while the rest were still asleep on the bus or in the plane. He was standing beside the bus taking photos that he planned to give to Rocky later on for his mom, and he saw a struggle between Rocky and Aycock in the cockpit as the plane approached the bus seconds before the crash. We got a quote from Don about it. Quote, I'm assuming Don is English. I had my camera and was taking photos of the plane to give to Randy afterwards. I had my telephoto lens on and I could tell there was some sort of struggle going aboard the plane. The wings were rapidly tipping side to side, and at one point the plane almost became perpendicular, no more than 6 feet off the ground. That's when I put down my camera and saw the plane right in front of me. I quickly crouched to avoid getting hit and looked over my shoulder and watched it clip the bus, crash into the tree, and explode on impact into the garage. As band members on board the bus were shaken from their bunks by the impact of the wing on the bus and tried to figure out what the hell happened, bassist Sarzo recalls sidestepping broken glass in his bare feet, looking through a gaping hole in the side of the bus to see tour manager Dake Duncan outside of the bus. sitting on the ground, rocking back and forth, screaming, "They're gone! They're gone!" Drummer Tommy Eldridge takes a fire extinguisher from the bus. He runs towards the crash full speed in an attempt to put out the fire. Tour manager Duncan, "They're gone! They're gone!" He's on the first flight. He explained, although there'd been some concern at the pilot's behavior, there's no sense of foreboding. It all seems so innocent. We were just there this morning. Andy offered Don and me to take us up, and I admit it was a bit scary. He started buzzing the bus, trying to wake up Tommy, but after a few attempts, they just landed, and that was it. Rocky, he's afraid of flying. Youngblood, the makeup artist, in 58, had a bad heart, so Rocky originally had no intention of getting on the plane. Duncan, he explains how the guitarist ended up on the doomed flight. He's like, "Well, right after he landed, Andy came up to me and he told me that we were going to take up Rochelle for a ride, and being aware of her heart condition, he assured me they were going to take it easy, just circle the property a couple times and not try to pull any crazy stunts." So Randy heard that and he decided to join him so he could take some aerial shots with his camera. Now, though the entire group were quite distraught, the remaining band and crew were forced to remain in Leesburg for 2 additional days until the preliminary investigations were completed. They had to fly Rocky's brother-in-law out from California to identify the remains. Ozzy's
His
official
teeth?
statement of the crash.
Had to identify his teeth?
Yeah, well, I mean, you had to be like teeth and jewelry. It said teeth and personal jewelry. So you're like, yeah, it's his ring.
Is that his medallion or his molar?
Oh my God, terrible. Speaking of terrible things, this is going to be a terrible impersonation of Ozzy Osbourne. His official statement to the crash investigators was, approximately 9 a.m. on Friday, March 19th, 1982, I was awoken from my sleep by a loud explosion. I immediately thought that we hit a vehicle on the road. I got out of bed screaming. My fiancée, "Sharon, get off the bus!" Meanwhile, she's screaming at everyone else, "Get off the bus!" And after off the bus, I saw a plane crashed. I didn't know it was on plane time. We realized people was us, our people on the plane, and found out very difficult to get assistance from anyone to help. In fact, it took almost half an hour before anyone arrived. One small fire engine arrived, appeared to squirt 3 gallons of water on the inferno. We asked for further assistance, such as telephones, and we didn't receive any further help. In the end, we found ourselves a telephone, and Sharon phoned her father. Now, Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake, who had recorded Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman with Rocky, they had recently been fired from the Osbourne band. You remember that? They were in Houston with Uriah Heep later that day. They got the word of the incident. Quote from Kerslake, "I was already sitting at the bar when Bob Daisley came into the bar, and I turned and looked at Bob and said, 'Fuck, you gone all white. What's wrong?' Bob said, 'Lee, there's a plane crash this morning and Randy was on it, and he's dead.' And that was it. Oh, God, to hear that. I turned and cried my eyes out. Bob and me were crying all over because loved him and such a lovely guy."
So
now, Rocky's
it's there.
jump in.
I gotta go back a little bit here.
Let's do it.
So Ozzy gave his account of the story, which I believe
Oh, he
sounded
did?
exactly like what you sounded like.
Spot on. Thank you.
Perfect.
I tried.
But knowing what we all know about Ozzy today, do you think Ozzy's playing chess while we're all playing checkers in a way, where he can just act like he's an idiot rock and roller, say weird
That's
stuff,
smart.
and just so accidental deniability, where he doesn't even he could have been the guy shooting bottle rockets at the plane, shooting it down. And when the cops interviewed him,
true.
he just acts like, this thing
I was sleeping.
happened, and then I said, "Sharon," and whatever. I mean,
I thought we was driving.
Ozzy could be the puppet master in every single huge negative event the earth has had around since he was born, and nobody's ever going to think he did it. Because he's Ozzy Osbourne. I don't know what happened, and then the judge says, "Sharon!"
Sharon! I don't know if he's the master of puppets, but that would be pretty interesting if he was.
I think that was Lars, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Rocky's longtime girlfriend, who hopefully she didn't go out with Lars. Her name is Jody. She was in the car when she recalls hearing a block of songs from Blizzard of Oz on the radio before the DJ announced the accident and the news that Rocky had been killed. So his girlfriend heard that her boyfriend died on the radio.
As she's listening to his music.
Oh, wow, the guy's really got a good sound this time. Oh, my God.
I love this man. I just love him every time I hear him. And, oh, man, the end of the song's here. Oh, the DJ's on. He's, what did he just say? Who shot who in the what? That's sad.
In the hours following the crash, the
Jody.
band and
Poor
crew
Jody.
called loved ones to assure them that they were still safe, as the news reports hadn't named the victims yet. They just said there was a tour bus crash with the Ozzy Osbourne band. So this other guy, Sarzo, remember him? He found a church nearby the hotel. He went inside to pray. The church was empty, aside from one guy sitting in the front crying uncontrollably. Sarzo's like, that's really sad, man. I thought I had a bad day. And then he looked up, and the guy he was dealing with was actually Ozzy Osbourne. He's out there. He's like, why did it happen? Acock's estranged wife, Wanda, she spent the last night on the bus with the band, and they were all well aware that the driver, Acock, was attempting to reconcile with his ex-wife. Witnesses described the bus driver's state of mind as agitated hours before the fatal crash, and according to witnesses, Wanda, the ex-wife, emerged from inside the bus shortly after the second flight took off and was standing in the doorway watching the plane fly around and around. And so Acock saw her as he made his final approach, and some people, bass player, keyboard guy, they both are guessing that Acock may have suddenly seen his wife, and he's like, I'm going to kill her by crashing the plane into the bus. Now, this is all speculation regarding this, but Sarzo, he believes that the driver-pilot guy, Acock, troubled emotional state that day worsened by the effects of cocaine because he was doing bumps of cocaine. So, also, didn't sleep, and that may have been directly responsible for the accident.
I think I would blame it on this is a dude thing. This is a dude thing. Just showing off.
I think it is
just
too. I think it's just dicking around.
Trying to scare people on the ground, trying to impress his wife that he's trying to stick around or whatever, trying to scare the people in the plane.
You can't stop dicking around.
Yeah, I've done it. Not in a plane, in a car, in a truck.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you know, some pretty girl sitting next to you in the car. You're like, let's see how fast we can go. And then we're going to get down to the end of the road. We're going to do a donut or come back. And then if you're not impressed, I'm going to find another girl and put her in the car and do the same thing and see if it works with her. I mean, whatever. That's I feel like when you were telling the story from the beginning, that's what my gut instinct told me to think. Like, he's just trying to show everybody in the ground he's cool and do dumb, crazy stuff, as young men will do.
Yep. That'll happen.
That happens.
So, like we're talking about, given that people saw a struggle in the cockpit, that guy Don saw that, they all came to the conclusion that Rocky's actions in the last seconds of his life was to prevent a direct hit with the bus and the plane. So, because he thinks the guy was trying to kill everybody and take out his ex-wife in the process. Now, Ozzy Osbourne later admitted that he saw Acock doing cocaine bumps all night prior to the crash. It's later confirmed in the autopsy that Acock's system tested positive for cocaine. Rocky's toxicology test revealed only nicotine. The NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board investigation, determined that Acock's aviation medical certificate had expired and that he'd been a pilot in another fatal crash in the United Arab Emirates 6 years earlier. Sharon was aware of the prior crash, but hadn't informed the tour manager, Duncan, or anybody else Acock's history. In the moments after the crash, she immediately was like yelling at the tour manager, following their people into the plane with the pilot who'd been awake, using drugs all night. And a quote from Sharon, "Don't you know the man already killed one of the Calhoun kids in a helicopter crash?"
No shit. Wow.
They did not. Apparently did not know that. So
Sharon knew, but she was taking a nap.
Sharon was on it, man.
She was taking a nap on the bus.
Dude, so Rocky's funeral is held at the First Lutheran Church in Burbank, California. Serving as pallbearers for the funeral are Osbourne, Eldridge, Sarzo, and Rocky's former Quiet Riot bandmate, Kevin Dubrow, the dickhead.
That's nice.
They all come together. On his coffin are flowers, 2 photos of the guitarist, one showing himself and Osborne on stage in San Francisco. Rocky is buried at Mountain View Cemetery in San Bernardino, California. On his tomb is the inscription, quote, "An inspiration for all young people," end quote. December 2019, Ozzy Osbourne offers $25,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of several pieces of musical equipment stolen from the premises of Musonia Music School. This stuff used to belong to Rocky, so he's like, I'll give a reward if somebody brings it back. Rocky placed 36 on Rolling Stone magazine's 100 greatest guitarists of all times.
Really?
And
Holy cow! I guess.
Yep.
36 on Rolling Stone's 100. That's pretty good.
He places fourth on Guitar World magazine's 100 greatest heavy metal guitarist, and 26 on Guitar World's 50 fastest guitarist. I forgot to mention, Randy Rhoads is credited with inventing finger tapping. You know, like most people think that Eddie Van Halen, they're using their fingers to tap on the fretboard.
they're not using their strumming hand,
the
their
pick or
hand.
strum, right?
Yeah.
Right. Nope. He invented that.
I find that hard to believe. Here's why.
As does Eddie Van Halen. So that's why I didn't really include that, but that's what he's credited with.
Well, I mean, since the day somebody invented a stringed instrument, they probably immediately started just hitting the string with their fret hand as hard as they could. I mean, that's it. It's not inventing it. It's being good at it is what he did. And then Eddie Van Halen came in and was real good at it. And now they got these kids coming out here playing songs on classical guitars that sound like there's 7 people in the room, including percussionists, keyboardists.
Okay, I was going to bring that up. Have you seen that Led Zeppelin one that kid does on the acoustic guitar?
Oh,
he looks like he's dressed like Rick Ashley. He's wearing like a trench coat, but he's like dang-a-dang, dang-a-dang, and he's like slapping and playing finger drums on the guitar body. I'm like, oh my God. Like you're saying, it's light years beyond what these guys were playing with.
He didn't invent that. He just did it better than anybody else. As
Randy Rhoads did.
Eddie Van Halen didn't invent it. He just did it better than Randy Rhoads, who didn't invent it. He just did it better than whatever schlub was before him. I like the word schlub.
That's true. And because you used a cool word like schlub, I'm going to give you a quote from Randall William Rhoads, Randy Rhoads himself. Quote, "The main thing, though, is to take it as it comes. Don't try to do too much too soon. You got to get to know your own style." Randy Rhoads, everybody. What'd you think of Randy Rhoads?
Take it as it comes. Don't try to do too much too soon.
Get to know your own style.
Sounds like my wedding night. Well, no. See, so I think I didn't know anything about this guy at all.
Sure.
Except for that bus story. I've heard that bus story.
That was the big one, is that he's the guy on the bus who plane crashed into the tour bus, and you're like, wait, that's the same people? You crashed a plane with your band into the tour bus with the other half of your band? It's like, yep.
Yeah, so
that's a story I got to know about. It's like, all right.
I heard that story, but when you first started, when you introduced that bit of the thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've heard this.
Yep.
But I didn't know enough about it where they died. For some reason in my head, I thought they crashed and some people died in the plane, but they all died.
Everybody on board.
They all blew up
the day the music died.
They all blew up a little bit and got burned a lot.
Dental records and jewelry ID.
And that was before. That was Sharon was on the bus sleeping. Ozzy was on the bus sleeping. Whatever.
What was happening?
Yeah, that's a bit. And that was in the 80s, right? Early 80s.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That was it.
All right. Well, cool. I mean, it sounds like he's a very, very super talented dude.
Real talented dude, it sounded like, man. Yeah. So, and like sort of just a setup with your parents both being music instructors, your mom starting a music school, like out learning your guitar teacher by the time you're like 12.
And I mean, and he was,
you were in it.
And he was calling his own shots. He was like, no, I'm done with this Ozzy Osbourne guy. I've taken this as far as I can go. I mean,
Quiet Riot's good enough for me.
I think he went through he went through a few bands before Quiet Riot. You know, the other things that they said or you said. And then he did Quiet Riot, which was a commercial success. And then all of a sudden he gets hooked up with Ozzy, who was successful before he started with him, but he wasn't like
Mildred Pierce.
He was not the headliner on that tour, on that album. He was just the guy that played the guitar. He was not. He probably in his mind thought, all right, I'll get done with this guy. I'll go to the next guy. I'll just go do the next big thing.
There's other bands.
Yeah, and he probably had enough clout to probably, unless he got killed in the airplane a little bit. But if he didn't get killed in that airplane a little bit, he could have probably gone on and done that next thing.
Oh, yeah. No, like all those bassists who were hanging out trying to make deals like Slaughter and freaking all the rest of them, they'd have given him a gig somewhere, man, for sure. He wasn't out of there.
Setting the bar pretty high there with Slaughter, huh, Brian?
Right. Because I said Slaughter, it's time for a little feedback. And so right now, let me tell you about some feedback we received on Instagram. We got an Instagram comment on our Flavor Flav episode. We were actually included in a compilation video about Flavor Flav by Get Verbal, GETVURBLE, the Get Verbal channel, for his birthday last month. So go check out Get Verbal on Instagram for millions of unique audio titles like ourselves. They are not a sponsor, and that's okay. Moving on. I thought you'd give me something off of that.
Oh, no, I thought you were hitting the play button. I was waiting.
No.
Wait.
Yeah, right?
I thought you had something to say. I'm like, all right.
Oh, do you want me to play the spot from Flavor Flav?
I thought you had some audio. You said instant feedback.
I do have some audio. I do have some feedback. I have a speak pipe from Dustin in St. Louis. This is Dusty.
All right, hold on. Is this the one that's...
Hello, guys. This is Dustin from St. Louis, Missouri. I just wanted to say that your podcast makes Disgraceland look like utter Woodstock 99 liter garbage. You destroy Woodstock, or Disgraceland. You probably have the funniest podcast in all of history. I'm worried, though, because the most recent episode I see is from February of 2021. If your podcast is gone, I will have very few reasons to live. So, you fellas need to come up with some more music stories, please, to get me through my drive to work. Bye. Love you. And by the way, always trust a big butt and a smile.
Dusty from St. Louis, everybody.
All right. Well, the only reason we're doing it now from now on, from today, from the end of time.
Okay.
It's for Dusty.
It's for Dusty. There you go. Dusty. Don't forget Val, the Mad Canadian, and Michelle.
We're doing it for, but I mean, from now on, Dusty's on the list. He's
Dusty. You made the list.
We almost quit, and then we got Dusty's message.
Jericho. You are not kidding, guys. I appreciate the patience and sticking with us, because the episodes will come out. Just, there's just timing and things, getting it all together. But we're here. We're still here for you. We're not going anywhere.
Well, and we still try to do that, and we're still going to put out content. But
we'll get back to it. I promise, guys.
We get delayed every once in a while. It's not because we don't want.
It happens.
It's not because we don't want to.
Somebody sent me a song, and I'm gonna play it for you. This one right here is from KG Rap Official.
All right, this is new to me. Roll it, Brian.
Hello again, Brian and Ben, back at it with a podcast so fantastic. I apologize if the technical difficulties are drastic, but we're getting there and we enthusiastic. It wouldn't be a freestyle if I didn't remind y'all never to trust a big butt and a smile. I know that might not be well received, but you can't say you don't agree. Ha! Enjoy the show and remember to breathe.
KG Rap Official, everybody.
Hey,
appreciate that, man. Brought it in to the theme song.
I know that guy.
Dude.
I know that guy.
Do you
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Who is it?
That's I don't know if I can say his name.
You got a ringer? Did you set me up?
No, well, I mean, I don't know him personally, but I don't know if I should tell the audience who that was actually a guy named you might want to look him up on YouTube. His name's Little Dicky. That was him.
Oh, yeah, sure. That was Little Dicky. You're right.
That was
Little Dicky.
100% Little Dicky. No, who was that, Brian?
That's KG Rap
Thank
Official.
you. That was awesome.
I appreciate that. Definitely, guys. That's awesome. If you guys have other songs that you want to let us play or something that you think we'd like to hear, send it out to us, man. We'll put you on in the feedback section.
That was high production value.
That was great.
Super high production value. All right.
There you go.
All right.
If you've liked what you've heard, please leave us a review. And if you'd like to leave your own feedback like KG Rap Official or that speak pipe from Dustin in St. Louis, go ahead. Go to our website, crimeandmusic.com. Scroll down to the speak pipe icon. Click the button. You actually don't have to scroll anymore. That's right. I moved it. So it's there. Leave us a speak pipe message. Send us an email, feedback at crimeandmusic.com, or go to any of the social medias at Crime and Music. We love hearing from you guys. We love making sure that you got something to listen to on your job, at your commute, doing your work thing. So, man, thank you guys for listening. Ben, you got anything else?
Why is email so hard for us to do as a society where texting is so easy, but yet they're the exact same thing?
With that sort of thing, I'm going to leave you with these words of wisdom. Never trust a big butt and a smile. And I'm going to leave you with KG Rap.
Hello again, Brian and Ben back at it with the podcast so fantastic. I apologize if the technical difficulties are drastic, but we're getting there and we enthusiastic. It wouldn't be a freestyle if I didn't remind y'all never to trust a big butt and a smile. I know that might not be well received, but you can't say you don't agree. Ha, enjoy the show and remember to breathe.
Wiki, what?